Before we begin, I want to say this clearly. This channel does not exist to sensationalize pain. It exists to slow the story down, so we can see the people behind the headlines. You're listening to Quiet Truth SA. Here, we speak names carefully, we separate fact from rumor, and we remember that every case we talk about was once a life being lived, not a tragedy waiting to happen. Some of the stories shared here involve gender-based violence, homicide, and loss. Please take care of yourself while watching. And if you stay, thank you for listening with intention. Take a breath before this one, because this story does not begin with crime. It begins with two young women who were known, loved, and visible long before their names reached the news. Their names were Nontokozo Mazibuko and Andiswa Sontangane. They were both 25 years old, they were cousins, and they were from Evaton, in Gauteng. If you ask people from Evaton about them, most won't begin with the case. They'll say, those girls were always together. Not in a dramatic way, just naturally close. The kind of closeness where you move through life side by side, without announcing it. What many people outside their community don't know is that Nontokozo and Andiswa were deeply involved in traditional cultural life. They attended cultural gatherings, they participated in ceremonies, they showed up at community events where tradition wasn't treated like costume, but like responsibility. They dressed with intention, they respected elders, they understood that culture is not something you perform, but something you carry. That matters, because stories like this are often flattened, and these women deserve to be remembered with depth. It was the 30th of December, 2025, that quiet space between Christmas and New Year, when time feels loose and people are less guarded. That day, Nontokozo and Andiswa attended a local soccer match in Evaton, not a stadium, not a risky event, just a neighborhood soccer ground, the kind of place people gather without fear. According to reports, this is the last confirmed place where the two women were seen. After that, the timeline grows quiet. At the time they went missing, Andiswa Sontangane was driving her vehicle. There is no confirmed final destination, no verified plan, no confirmed meeting, party, or visit. What people in the community say, carefully and without certainty, is that the cousins did not walk home. What matters here is not the speculation. What matters is the reality beneath it. They trusted enough to get in. That night, they did not return home. At first, concern moved slowly. Families often protect themselves from fear by choosing patience. Maybe the phones died, maybe they slept over somewhere, maybe they would arrive in the morning. But by the next day, the 31st of December, that patience turned into urgency. Nontokozo Mazibuko and Andiswa Sontangane were reported missing. From that moment, their families began searching. They asked questions, they reached out, they waited, and then stopped waiting. Because when it is your own, waiting feels impossible. As the days passed, hope thinned. In South Africa, the silence that follows a disappearance often speaks louder than words. For more than a week, there were no answers, only questions that grew heavier with each day. Where did they go? Who last saw them? Why had no one heard anything? The community of Evaton watched closely. People spoke softly. Women checked in with one another more often. This was no longer just about two missing people. It was about a familiar fear, the one that returns every time another woman does not come home. On the 8th of January, 2026, the waiting ended. The bodies of Nontokozo Mazibuko and Andiswa Sontangane were discovered in an open field near the R28 in the Poortjie area, close to Randfontein, far from where they were last seen, far enough to confirm what many had feared, that they had been taken out of Evaton. Officials did not release graphic details, but it was confirmed that both women had suffered physical harm. For their families, and for their community. That information was enough. Grief does not need details to arrive. There are parts of this story remain under investigation, and there are parts that may never be fully understood. What is important, especially in a country overwhelmed by gender-based violence statistics, is to resist turning this into a checklist of violence. Nontokozo and Andiswa were not symbols. They were not warnings. They were people, cultural young women who moved together because the world had already taught them it was safer that way. And still, it was not enough. After their deaths, Evaton changed. The names Nontokozo, Mazibuko, and Andiswa Sontangane became part of a growing list that South Africa knows too well. When we talk about cases like this, it is tempting to search for lessons, but sometimes the only honest thing to say is this: they did not fail, they were failed. Failed by a society where women still pay the price for simply moving through public space. Failed by systems that often respond only after loss has already settled in. Remembering them properly means saying their names and remembering who they were before the worst day of their lives. If you have listened this far, thank you. This space exists for stories like this, told slowly, carefully, and with respect. If you believe these stories matter, you are already part of this community. Leave a comment. Say their names with a purple heart. Share this with intention. And if you choose to subscribe, know this: you are not here for crime. You are here for memory, accountability, and truth. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next story.